Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that happened really fast. Okay. So here we are. Good morning, everybody. I hope a lot of people are watching us. Jackie, say good morning.
Yes.
Jackie's a
Good
little frozen.
morning.
Thank you. Thank you. So we
Am
have a
I?
very special live today. And if you'll notice, there are two people who you've never seen before. They are not hackers. They have been invited. And I want to introduce everyone to them. They are Joe and Pat Bucherri. But before you say anything, let me give you a better introduction, okay?
Yeah.
Joe and Pat are two really special people. I say this, and I don't BS. If you guys stunk, I would say you just stink. But you don't stink. I've stood in your vicinity many times, and I can tell you that for sure. Um, Joe and Pat have lost between them, I don't even know how much weight. How much weight have you lost?
125 pounds for myself.
So close to 200 between the two of us.
Between the
Wow.
two of them, they've lost close to 200 pounds. I mean, they look amazing. We have pictures of the before. You could
Mhm.
see the before. We can see that since he lost all the weight, Joe has obviously become a professional surfer now. Uh, all his time at the beach. Look at that tan.
There you go.
Pat is a very high-powered real estate broker, selling homes all over the New Jersey area, and they're just very enthusiastic and very gung ho about what we do, about what they've accomplished, and there's no quit in them.
Yeah.
Uh, and now they're learning the principles of keeping it off, and that's part of what we want to speak to today. But first, guys, why don't you say hello to all the FinTechsters who are out there?
Hey,
Hi, guys.
everybody. Nice to meet you all.
By the way, this is the kind of live that you're going to want to pass on to your friends. These are real people. I do not pay them. If they say nice, it's not because I asked them to. It's of their own volition. So, Joe, Pat, just very briefly, or maybe not so briefly, tell us your story. What was your situation? What made you come in and do the program in the first place?
Well, for myself, it was mainly health reasons. I was 320 pounds at one point, getting worse. I had a difficult time moving around, walking up steps. My blood pressure was high, my cholesterol was high, and it was time to do something. I'm nearing the latter stages of life, and if I want to extend that, I really needed to do something about that. And the first step is obviously lose weight. And carrying around all that excess weight, not the best. So, Dr. R and team have been phenomenal in helping me and Pat on a journey. It's not always easy, but it's nice to have that continued support day in, day out, texting, phone conversations, and Dr. R and team are always very willing to help you and to guide you. And it's been years that we've kept the weight off. I mean, we're human beings, the weight comes back. So even though, yeah, I lost 110 pounds. Now I've lost 110 pounds a few times, so 120 pounds in my life a few times, but not until FinTech I've been able to keep it off for an extended period. And just recently, with the introduction of ThinTech, have we really, I think, found the secret sauce, so to speak, because we started to slip. We were doing really well, right? We got down to our ideal weight. I mean, I was 187 pounds. I was below, I've never been below 200 pounds, I think, since I was a teenager, for God's sake. I can't even remember the last time. Right? And that was like a major milestone for me.
Yeah.
And then from the summer, we started the barbecue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no. I just want to say, because you mentioned something called FinTane, which is our maintenance program, which we're going to talk about. And I want to talk about the principles. And actually, one of the reasons why I asked you two to be on is because you were speaking so passionately the other day about ThinTane and about your, renewed ability to keep the weight off.
Absolutely. And that's where I was going with that, because up until now, so the summertime came, we started going barbecues, and everybody says the winter's difficult. No, the summer's the worst for us. We're hanging out in the backyard, drinking beer, wine, with a have you, a couple of cocktails, barbecue, hamburger, hot dog, that whole thing. And before you know it, every week we're gaining 2 pounds. And yeah, the steak days help, but we're hanging on to 1 to 2 pounds a week. Before you know it, you're 12 pounds up. And that's where the pain came in and saved us. So number one, it provides accountability. So every 2 weeks we're coming to you and saying we're weighing in, and there's a level of embarrassment.
Confront.
Even though you never make us feel like that. Pat mentioned it yesterday.
Yeah, there's no judgment whatsoever.
Yeah,
in that
never
office.
made us feel like we were being judged or that we did something wrong. It's just a positive support feed that we always got from you, right? And the whole team, everyone on you.
Because you all understand the struggle too.
We understand, and and people are so busy judging themselves. I mean, I joke that one of these days I'm going to purchase a collar because people like to come in and confess, and some people are disappointed when I don't give them crap. Like they come in looking to get beaten up. They feel like they deserve it.
Well, you always say take the win. You're always looking at it.
You have to take the wins. We can't build on the losses, and I don't mean the weight losses, right? The failures. Pat, I want to talk to you a little bit. What your husband Joe came in because of health. The blood pressure was up. He was at that point in life. Men don't realize that we're going to die until we hit about 40. It never occurs to us before that. We're like, oh my God.
It was a little later than that, but
Yeah. And then, holy crap, I better start doing things right. And so Joe obviously had a lot of health issues. What was your motivation? What brought you in the first place?
So when Joe says we've been doing this for quite a while, we've been doing this since 2014. So at that point, if you look at the before picture, which I'm embarrassed of, I had gotten the heaviest I've ever been in my life. When I was younger, I was always thin. And then I don't know if it was marrying into an Italian family with all of the food, and I ended up,
That's what happened to me.
Gaining weight, having kids, the whole typical, wife, mother situation. So I actually saw an advertisement at the time for the previous business 14 years ago. I went there. He refused to come with me. He's like, it's all a bunch of crap. I don't believe in that. Well,
cynical
there. And he saw, I guess you still gave kind of like you were not into this at all, but he was kind of forced into it, I guess you could say at that point, right? And that's when we lost a lot of weight. Now we've gone where we've lost and then gained again, okay, and then lost.
It happens to a lot of us.
Right, and then lost again. I found that the ThinTane, like Joe said, is the answer, because now this summer I gained 10 pounds, or, from like May, June, with all of the barbecues and all of the celebrations, I gained 10 pounds. Had I not been on ThinTane, that 10 would have turned to 12 to 15 to 20 to 30. And then I'd be back again with my head down looking to start a whole new program. Whereas this ThinTane keeps you accountable because you do have the tools to lose that 10 pounds easier than you would, I guess, for the 30 or 40 pounds. It's kind of like I always, whenever I gained, it was because of me. It has nothing to do with the program. I just started eating the wrong way again. And I always say that, like people say, it's how much money and then you gain weight back. No, it's not like that. If you choose to start eating the way you did, you're gaining the weight back. There's no question about it.
Right.
It's ThinTane, for some reason, I don't know what it is about it, but it
keeps you honest.
It keeps you honest,
and it gives you
engaged.
a sense of safety net. You have that safety net. Right. So now you don't have that self-defeatist attitude anymore. Well, I don't. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm typical of most people, right? I'm not that special. So.
Well, it's unbelievable because unfortunately, I'm not a stupid fellow, but I'm slow. It took me so long to realize and to put this program together. And the realization is that most people, when they lose weight, their strategy is, I'm going to be perfect now because it matters so much to me. And that for 99.9% of people is not sustainable and it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
So what we need to have is we need to have a way to continue being accountable and to address problems at the level of smoke and before they become raging infernos again.
Absolutely.
That's, I think, where a lot of people go wrong. Uh, Let me ask you this, and I do want to talk more about it, right? About some of the understandings that led to this program. But to you, what are the most important factors in keeping weight off?
Meaning why we want to keep the weight off, or
Why you want to? Like what is the key? What has stopped you in the past from keeping weight off? And what is the key to keeping weight off?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's a lifetime of habit. And I'm gonna call it bad habit. When I grew up in an Italian household, my grandmother lived downstairs. My other grandmother didn't live far. My grandmother would come over. She'd bring, buns and pastries and everything. That was every Wednesday. Sundays it was tremendous meals, eating all day, Italian
Sunday
breakfast,
sauce.
food was love.
Food was love.
Oh, yeah.
I would eat
Oh,
dinner
yeah. Very
at
loved.
my house, then go downstairs. My grandmother would feed me again. So this is okay. So knowing that, how do you change a lifetime of that behavior? It's very difficult. So
It's very hard.
right. So now you're on program. You're rocking it. You're losing 5 pounds a week. You're doing really well. You're in fat burn. You're feeling good about yourself. You go through your reset. I'm golden. I lost 40 pounds this round. I got one more round to do, or I'm done with my rounds. I'm ready to hit stage 5 for the rest of my life. And then, when you're on program, you're in that mindset, and it's very goal oriented, that mindset. But now you get to regular life, right?
Mhm.
You get back to your routine.
Go in a restaurant.
All those times when you were on program, you swore you'd never do it again. I'll never eat another piece of bread. I'll never eat pasta again. I don't eat pasta. I don't eat bread. Every now and then, like we'll have
Are you gonna lose your Italian card?
kick me out of the club.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's now half
I'm an
Irish.
honorary and I'm gonna have to kick you out.
Right.
Well, what you're saying is very sensible, and I do want people to understand all the forces that are against us. A lifetime of culture and of family pushing food on you, a desire to have a rich social life and to go out and to not always cook. I mean, these forces are against us. So what I found was the first two problems that people run into, or the first two mistakes that they make, are number one, being so hyper focused on weight loss that there's absolutely zero consideration of how to maintain that afterwards.
Mhm. Right.
People are in a frenzy, right? Hey, you got to put out that fire. So you put out that fire and then, okay, I'm good.
Right.
There's still another 40 years to go of life, hopefully, right?
How it works.
So that's number one. Number two is the fact that when you're on the program, when you come into the office, there is all that structure, all that support, all that accountability. And then you go from that to zero. And it's almost impossible. It's like going from having a great coach to having nothing. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying to having a structure,
Really true.
100%.
no structure.
Yeah.
And how are you going to do that then all by yourself? And yet somehow people have this really toxic kind of an independent streak where it's like, I should be able to do this on my own. Why? Have
And
you run into? Yes, Pat.
I'm sorry. We've had this conversation. If it's a monetary thing, it's more expensive to buy medication and go to the doctors, because it's also a health thing. It's not only a weight loss thing.
Right.
So I'd rather pay now than pay later.
Yes.
Pharmaceuticals are just ridiculous right now. So if you're staying healthy, it's also, the positive part of doing the
Yeah, and that is an aspect for people, right? Everyone is looking to save money. Everyone is very conscious about costs, and where do they cut it? It's a very expensive world we live in today, and where do they cut it? Rationally, we know that the investment that we make in our health is going to save over the long term. I mean, there are studies on that, but in the moment, sometimes people aren't always that rational.
Right.
Jackie, do you have any questions for these two?
It's funny. It's not even questions, but I could relate so much to the both of you. And I feel like even in my husband and I, we did the program together. And when we went in first, same like you, Joe, I was like, all right, this is not the right time. I was like, I don't know if I believe in this. And we circled back. And when I started working for Dr. Endelstein, I was there not even a week and a half. And I was like, I have to do this program. Because the amount of people that just kept walking through the door that my mouth was dropping, I'm like, I have to. And he's like, are you sure? You don't have to do it just yet. Are you sure? Think about it. And I was like, no, I have to. We dove in.
I said that? That doesn't sound like me.
Yeah, no, it was. It was you. Because it was you. And it was like, are you just wait a little bit? Because I was there barely 2 weeks. And I was like, so in it, And I think it was more of a matter of doing it because you didn't know me too well yet and making sure you're committing and not just jumping on it just to do it.
Okay.
But I think that was really more where it came from, a good place. And, see the same thing. My husband came from a very large Italian family. And I like to blame a lot of it on, but of course I could have always stopped food as well, but I didn't. And it's not easy. And listening to like the simple things, it's the simple struggles. It wasn't the big obstacles. I can easily say, no, okay, we have somewhere to go, somewhere to be, eating before we go. I could pass it off. But it was the little things. It was the everyday things that actually contributed to the weight gain or contributed to me losing control. Mm-hmm. So it's more of it's like an aha moment. It's like, oh, I wasn't alone. So because you always feel like it's just you.
Right.
You go out, you're always out to dinner with those couples and big families, same thing, big families. There's always that one couple that appears, visually they're thin. Number one, you don't know if they're healthy inside, but they look thin and they're eating and enjoying themselves. Never have
most of them are closet alcoholics and heroin addicts. That's any consolation.
The day that you had the aha moment with the I said, growing up, or I would be with people at a restaurant, and this woman was so slim all the time, and she'd eat a salad or a hamburger without the bun, and I'd say, "What are you doing that for? You're skinny." But the reason she is because she didn't eat the bun.
Right. Didn't eat the bun, probably. Right? Exactly. It's like I was laughing when you were saying how both your grandmothers, one lived downstairs and one close. So just same thing. I went to my in-laws' house a couple of weeks ago. And me and my husband just finished eating. We were not hungry, and then even my husband said,
"Doesn't matter."
Yeah. So no, you have to eat. Of course, it's Saturday. Like you have to have lunch. Has to get like fresh cold cuts. So it's like the supersad and the mortadella and everything is there, fresh off the block. And it's so. I was like, Mom, I'm not hungry. I swear. And she's like, No, a little bit. Dad waited for you. Meanwhile, my father-in-law ate already. But he didn't wait. So he ate. I was sitting there. I'm not hungry. It's okay. I sit down, but because I sat at the table, now a plate has to go in front of me. Absolutely. And I was like, I really don't want. I was like, I must have said it like 4 times. So then my husband comes out of the bathroom. My mother-in-law starts to say, "She's hungry. You have to eat. Sit down. You have to eat." I was like, I didn't say I was hungry. It was like a comedy act. And my husband starts laughing because he already told my mother-in-law no 4 times. I did. I sit down. What happens is a piece of focaccia in front of me, the size of my arm. And I said, I was like, I'll just take a little piece. I'm fresh focaccia. I can't sit down. My father-in-law hands me a piece of focaccia. I swear to you, it was like this big. And my husband's hysterical laughing. And he's like, "You're hungry. You have to eat." And I'm like kicking him under the table.
You're hungry. Yes.
You know to cut a piece of Italian bread, right? And here's the bread. You say, "How much you want?" That much, yeah. Okay. You move the knife over 3 inches to the left.
Wait, are people cutting it these days? What happened to just breaking it apart?
Well, we break it, but some certain ones you cut, but for the most part you break. But
If
this
it's
is,
for
I
a
mean,
sandwich, you're gonna cut it with a
you
knife.
got to cut it for a sandwich,
Well,
not for
let
like.
me tell you something nice that happened the other day. So I mentioned, I think that that I have a book. Oh, maybe I didn't mention it. So I have a book called Keeping It Off. Little known fact: Pat and Joe helped me with it. They helped me with proofreading. Any errors, by the way, there are some typos, but they're not Pat's fault. And Joe, as a graphic artist, helped kind of put it together. And so that book exists right now. It's on our website. Anyone can download it for free. I don't want that to be the case in the future. I want people to pay for it, and not so much even to make money, but so they read it, right? Because who's reading stuff that's given to them these days? But I think the book is very good. But of course, I think that it's my baby, right? But the other day, I had someone call me and said, I downloaded your book, I read it, and it was fantastic. And the bells were going off, and I saw myself in it, and now I feel like I know what to do. And they were all hopeful and excited, and I was like, this is like manna from heaven.
Yeah.
So you two have read the book, and the idea of the book is it's the principles that help a person maintain their weight, right? To stay in control. What was it that resonated with you when you read the book?
When I read the book, so first I read it and then I worked on it from a mechanical perspective, right? Moving type around and doing different things. Just
moving type around. My father did that in the 50s.
Yeah, I know that business well. In any case, there was a lot in it that resonated with me because it related to my everyday life. And I felt like it was a really good support guide in structuring. So we had a discussion one time about structure and give me those key points that are going to help me to stay the right mindset and help me to keep the weight off, whether it be eating habits or even just the way you think, and just understanding how to keep it off in your everyday life experience and to make the right decisions. And I think that was the catalyst that got us to say, hey, this ThinTech is the way to go. And, we're both really big fans of it because of that. And now that we're on it for quite a while now, we're seeing the results. And it's I would recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, Joe was kind of like, the other day, he's like, you have to tell everybody about this. Everybody has to do this. I mean,
I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah, you were like an evangelist at that moment. And I thought that was great because I come from my head sometimes too much. And maybe I should be yelling at people. I don't know. How would people respond if I started yelling at them? What are you, crazy? You got to do this.
Right?
Because I feel like the point needs to be driven home to people. So I'm sure there's a lot of people like me. You've been heavy your whole life, and it's a constant struggle to lose weight. My body still wants to be 300 pounds even today. I don't care what anybody says. So, ThinTech helped me. I lost all that weight, but now I got to keep it off. How am I going to do that?
Right.
Because those 40, 50 years of habits are not going away.
Right.
It's always going to be there. So if you have the structure and the support and you go for your weigh-ins, because we've done it, right? We do a program, we lose 60, 80 pounds, whatever it was, and then not see you for
the next
a year or two until the next time we needed to lose another 60 pounds.
Right.
Why did we gain the weight? Because the program stuck? No, the program is phenomenal.
It's putting out the fire.
Our habits.
Yeah, it's putting out the fire and then it's creating it again. So it's being half fireman, half arsonist.
Right.
And we all have this.
Right. You can't expect to keep weight off and eat a sleeve of Oreos and a half a quart of milk. It just doesn't work like that. Or
doesn't matter if it's organic.
But we always know Oreos is Joe's rock bottom. If he buys Oreos, which he hasn't forever, that's when it's
crack.
Okay, you're rock bottom to go back.
Patricia, how about you? What if anything in the book spoke to you?
So the book resonated with me because it just was me. Where you can watch these videos on social media where it gives you all of these. It's very salesy. Gives you all of these things to do, and click below to see what to do, and then you go through. They don't give you the answers. That book, to me, gave me the answers to what I needed to know to help myself. Where it's not a sales pitch. It's what works. You're giving that to people because I feel like I know that you guys are more interested in saving lives and helping people than you are in the sales part of it. Right. So, that was, to me, that was a secret book that you gave the answers away a little bit there because people see they can identify with that.
Yeah, there's nothing hidden in the book. It's not like the book teases something else.
No.
I mean, it's these principles. Now,
exactly. It's not click here and you'll get the answer, which you never get anyway, right?
You don't usually get right.
Yeah, right. It's hard. Even when one knows and understands the principles, it can be challenging to keep to them, and that's where all the structure and support comes in. But at least you have to have a fundamental understanding in it. And I think the main bell, like we were saying before, that goes off for people is this whole understanding that I have that I need to be perfect my whole life. If I want to keep it off, I think that's the problem. I think the model has to be more like early detection than it is perfection, and too many people have it in their head about perfection.
And what is it?
Yeah, I agree.
And it's that quick fix, the instant gratification kind of a thing where it has to be consistent throughout. You're not, everybody wants to lose weight for that vacation and, whatever reason they want to lose for, but you really have to want to lose and stay healthy for life. And
you have to want it. You have to want anything that you're doing.
Right.
Nothing is going to come, at least with this, long term without effort.
Right. I mean, these people that are taking shots and all this stuff, doesn't work. It's a quick fix.
And
you'll lose, and then you're going to gain it back as soon as you stop doing it. So
it's true, but it's funny when you say even like that, like the so-called quick fix. To me, that's not the type of effort that I want to put into something. Like that's not. I almost feel cosmetic surgery, to each his own, whoever, feels comfortable doing things like that. But it's the same thing. Like I couldn't imagine getting, for example, my face done, but the rest of me is still the same. Or, or if someone's doing a gastric bypass, or they're doing, the sleeves, they do lap bands, all of these different procedures. But now, yes, you've removed that, but do you feel healthy or do you feel the same just in a smaller package?
Right.
Yeah,
you have to.
I know a lot of people that have had those surgeries. I just want to get it out there, and they've a lot of people. I hang out with a lot of big people, right? And how many people do I know? On two hands I can count. All right, let's say
I would definitely count 5 on mine.
8 of them have gained the weight back, and then some, and are now in a worse physical condition than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in a really bad way. So I do have a couple of friends that have kept it off and they're doing well. Thank God they're moving forward and they've changed their lives and great. But for the most part, and it's like any other diet though.
Right.
Nothing against that.
No.
I do have personal views against that type of bariatric surgery. I don't like that invasive procedure. I think you need to be responsible and do what you can if you can do it holistically. That's the way to go.
I think that a lot of times people who do go that route, it's more or less a sense of desperation, right? They need results quickly. They got into a place where they have no control whatsoever, and they just need to do something. And right now, this is the only guaranteed thing. That's it.
But it's up here doesn't change.
No.
Absolutely.
Yes, not much changes, right? Physiologically, if you alter your digestive tract, something's going to change. But but not just
Exactly.
changing either physiologically, right, with the factors that cause weight gain,
Eat that.
or mentally, emotionally.
Not mentally, emotionally, and for most of us
It's
that
mentally
have eating problems, it's an emotional thing.
It's very largely emotional, but what I want people to understand is ultimately the idea, if we're doing this right, is at some point the focus has to shift from losing weight because we have to
Right.
avoid some kind of consequence, to building health because it's part of who we want to be and what we want to accomplish in life, right? The
Absolutely.
focus has to change. Otherwise, we're no more than hostages. And we talked about this last week, right? The people who are the best at what they do, they're very interested in process. And most people who want to lose weight, they're disinterested in process. They're completely obsessed with the scale, and it's a reversal of how it's supposed to be. I want clients to be bored with the scale, take the wind, but be bored with the scale. Oh, I'm down 2 pounds today. What,
Right.
but be very interested about process. Get into it, enjoy it.
Right. And we have that conversation every
This
day.
morning.
We had it this morning.
Is that right?
Pat was down 0.8. I'm up 0.4. Oh my God! I said, Pat, it's the same old story. Remember that little sign in Dr. R's office?
Could be
Yeah.
water,
You
right?
could have
Could
lost 2 pounds of fat
Mm-hmm.
and gained 3 pounds of water. And
Right.
There's the extra pound, right? Okay. Or muscle.
Yeah.
So,
Pat, I want you to be bored. I want you to yawn when you see the scale, no matter what it says. Up 3 pounds, down 17, whatever it says. It's
and then you
just
said, well,
boring.
maybe I won't weigh myself every day, but we're so compelled to do that because we want to keep ourselves honest, right?
Yes.
We want to make sure that we stay on the right path. And we've become really diligent in every little thing we do, and it's obsessive. And you can only carry on that obsession for so long. But again, back to ThinTech. You don't have to be obsessed over it, but you can live your life, stay on ThinTech, go to the office, talk to doctor. You've become our therapist. So,
Well, hey,
listen,
hold on now.
when they have emotional problems,
Scary.
when they have emotional problems, they go
I
to
didn't
the
know.
therapist. They
Who's
go to
my
the
therapist?
right? We go talk to Dr. O, and we get
Jackie.
rational discussion.
You already
right?
know my feelings.
A sounding board, a guide, a guru. I'll take any of those. I'm not your therapist.
But you are.
You couldn't afford me.
You believe it or
If
not.
I was going to be your therapist, do you know how much intensive therapy that would take? We can't do that. No, we're not going to do it. But from what we were just saying before, I have a friend, an acquaintance, really. I don't like him that much, but he has a podcast. I hope he's not watching. He has a podcast, right? And I interviewed him once, like like I do sometimes, like we're doing right now with you.
Right.
And he said something very profound. He's interviewed a lot of famous people, and I said, "Well, what have you discovered that most people don't know about these very high achievers?" And he said, the scoreboard for them is what they use to kind of understand who they are and who they need to be. Think about that. I mean, if you think about that, that's really very profound. Like, right? They're looking at, most people are looking at their bank account because they have to, pay for stuff. They're looking at the bank account and they're saying, okay, I'm down a few million this quarter. What do I need to do? Who do I need to be to turn that around? It's a very different way of looking at things. We're also, everyone's heard of be, do, have, right? That's been talked about to death in certain circles. But we're generally looking at the have, about what we want, what we have to have, what we need, as opposed to the be. And that's ultimately where the focus is. I don't know that I have the resources, besides with you two, who I, do a great job with therapy every week. But I don't know that I have the resources to totally change that. But I can certainly bring that up. I could certainly cause people to begin a conversation with themselves about that. Thoughts about that? I mean, is that too esoteric? Is that too out there?
No, but it's
Like, am I losing people here? What's going on? Pat,
no. I think that the
say
biggest
something.
struggle, yeah, the biggest struggle with things for that is that when most people come to our office at some point, especially for the first time, they are hesitant to believe it really works. They have so many, they've already set themselves up to gain the weight back before they've even signed a contract to lose the weight.
Yeah.
They are not prepared to actually
Change.
commit
They're there
long
for a
term.
change, but they're not
They're
prepared.
there for a change, but they don't believe that this is going to be their health journey. Therefore, when you walk through the door and you decide to sign with us, you're done. We're with you through it, through the whole way through. They really think that when they leave, that's not really what it's going to be. They think that this is a short term. I hit my weight loss, my goals, my guaranteed pounds dropped, and then what? It's like they're back to reality. It's just
Absolutely.
I think that
I was the same way.
Yeah.
we've been doing this for almost 10 years now. So we've had enough of the wins, but we've also had enough of the losses.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
understand that you really have to change the way you think about things, and you really have to do this differently. You know, when you spoke to me somebody spoke to me in 2014, I lost 80 pounds and I thought, okay, that's it. I'm great. I'll stay like this forever. But I didn't. And, it did it psychologically really, I was down. Yeah. But I've lost the fight a couple of times and won it way more times. And now I know what I need to continue to do.
Right.
Have the
Something
win.
clicks. Sometimes
Right.
it just all
Exactly,
it
like the
Big
hamburger
clicks.
bun clicks. We get clicks
Yes.
every once in a while.
Aha moments, as
Yeah.
Hot Dog says.
Yes.
We've had many of them. And
Those
especially
wins.
now at our stage of life,
Right.
this might be my last chance to get healthy and stay healthy. I don't want
Joe, you're not that old. And in fact, you're getting younger, if anything.
I know, I am. You should see me running up and down the steps. A year ago, I couldn't walk up the steps.
Are you running up and down the step? Why is that funny? Pat, why is that funny?
Is how long are you married? How long are you guys married?
38 years.
There you go.
38
Why
years.
is Joe running up and down the stairs funny to you?
She thinks it's funny.
What, him
Thinks
going down,
everything.
him running up and down steps?
Yeah.
He knows why I'm laughing.
Why? Oh, my knee. Yeah, but I always run up and down the steps. I do it intentionally sometimes, and I secretly hope that you hear me do it and say, wow, he's running down the steps, that little fat boy. But no, I don't get it.
Yeah, that's not Patricia. Well, listen, you've mentioned the ThinTech program. We haven't talked about it in detail. I don't think we are going to now. I mean, it's a conversation I'm going to have with individuals. I want people to understand that it's based around the principles from the guidebook, from the Keeping It Off book.
Yeah.
And that's how it's structured. The idea is that people are able to keep their weight off, that they create a flexible enough life plan for themselves, but there are contingency plans.
Right.
And we need to be proactive. I'm okay, and I think I've told you this, and I've said this before. I'm okay if someone's plan is to do a program, a ThinTech 40-day program, to do that once a year or twice a year. I'm okay with that, as long as that's their proactive plan, as long as they make a conscious decision.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens with most people. What happens with most people is they don't want to do that.
Right.
And they just find themselves slipping backwards to where there's no choice.
Right.
It's such a blessing to have something that works, that you can rely on. And again, if that's part of the life plan, fine. Plan on gaining 30 and losing 30, every 6 months.
That's not healthy either.
It's not ideal. I'm not sure how healthy or unhealthy it is, honestly, Joe.
Well, they say, right?
Well, yeah, because they say a lot of things. I'm not sure it's terrible. And the only reason I say that is because, we're used to feast and famine as a species. So that's not, in the natural world, you will see that. It can really affect your hormones. to go up, back and forth like that. So I don't think it's the most ideal, but again, I'm okay with it if someone makes a conscious decision. This is my lifestyle. I love to, party and whatever, and I'm going to repair it every so often. But there
Right.
is a way to proactively keep it off. The ThinTech program includes 2 10-day programs throughout the year. You've lobbied to have it be every season, to have it 4.
Yeah, Pat's theory is
Yeah.
every quarter.
Every quarter.
Do a 10-day, and you're going to be golden. You know what? She's absolutely right.
Right.
She's
Right.
absolutely right. She's right very often.
Wow.
Is this being recorded?
Yes.
When does this start happening? Because
Program.
when will this agree and starts happening? 'Cause I'm
August
waiting for my
14th.
husband.
Save that.
When it comes to program, Pat knows what she's talking about. I can't take that away.
We're having some technical difficulties here. I feel
No,
like
we're
this
not. I
is
hear
erased
perfectly
somehow.
clear. I hear everything fine, perfectly clear. Don't change
If it
anything.
wasn't for her, I won't be.
Where would you be?
I won't be in
Dead.
this shape right now.
Listen, posterity is going to hear this.
Sitting on the recliner over there eating something,
Well,
Oreos.
got so high that he was.
and now it's
scary.
not. So
Right.
that's it. Funny conversation we had yesterday. Let me throw this out there. We're talking with family members, and the conversation got to, oh, what pills do I take? Well, I take this for diabetes. I take this for blood pressure. I take like 40 pills a day too. I exaggerated, but it's Adrenavent. It's multi-most.
Supplements.
And it was all the program supplements, right? And magnesium and a few other things that we take as well. But none of them were prescription drugs. They were all
Good
supplements.
for you.
They're all foods.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
they're
cool,
food-based
right?
supplements. Yeah.
Yeah. And they say, you take 24 a day or whatever. I forget what the number was because I actually counted.
You counted them?
In my head, which means I probably left out 5.
We forget, we're going to have to end off soon, but we forget that anything that's physical, any possession that we have needs maintenance.
Right.
Our bodies are machines. It needs maintenance. I mean, nobody yells too much about having to get their car tuned up every so often,
Right.
getting an oil change, right? But we kind of resent it when it comes to our own bodies. But think about it, any other model is not sustainable. We have to keep matter decays, period. And it's going to, and there's going to be problems, and eventually we're done. But until then, we can maintain it in a good condition, but we have to first have that understanding and not resent it.
Yeah,
And you guys have taken that on.
You're stuck with us for life now.
That's it.
How about that? Well, it could be worse.
And that's the thing. So if I have to say anything that means anything holds any weight in this conversation, it's that you do program, great, you lose weight, great, but you know what? You have to continue to go back to the office. If you want to maintain that weight, you have to stay engaged. Dr. R, his team, and the ThinTech has been fantastic for us.
Yes, stay connected, people. So I'm telling this now at the very beginning when I do a consultation. It can't be a secret. There are still some people it won't be real to them until they get back into the cold, cruel world and, and gain it all back.
Right.
But I need to be that evangelical, like I said Joe was, and to very passionately, very clearly make sure that people understand that. I'm going to make a video and I'm going to do something, but people have to get that. Right, Jack?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Pat, do you have any last words?
No, just thank you to you and your team for saving both of our lives, actually.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Yeah, wow. That's
Yes, that's big.
overwhelming.
Well,
Yeah.
it's true.
Take the win.
It's real. I say it every day now. I say thanks to you. That's one of my mantras every day.
You see, you didn't mention that when I asked you what resonated with you in the book.
I'll take the win.
Take the win. That's the first paragraph.
A lot of thoughts fluttering through this.
So many things, and I said something before that was either so profound or so stupid that both of you couldn't even speak
It
anymore.
was too profound for me. That was
That was
beyond.
much.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So let's end off here. Thank you again. This was awesome. Let's
Yes,
do
this
this
is great, guys.
again.
Yes.
and just continue doing what you're doing.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Do the
See
same.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Have a great week.
Yep.
You
me
too.
See you.